What is good? What is going on, YouTube? I'm your co-host of Press Coverage. Welcome to the first episode. My name is Mario Damian. I'm joined with.
My name is Johnathan Harris, and we are here with the first episode of Press Coverage here.
We got a big slate ahead for you guys today. First off, we're gonna talk about some hot topics going on in the world of sports, but we're also gonna talk about some topics near and dear to my heart. J-Rod, would you like to get them started?
All right, let's get started with the Pittsburgh Steelers, our hometown team. All right, and recently we had a pretty good win here. I mean, some people would say it was a bad win, and some people would say Matt Canada needs to be absolutely fired. But it is what it is. They got the win 19-16 over a poor Atlanta Falcons team. What was your take from the game before I get into my big topics, Billy?
Well, I mean, honestly, just my takeaway from the game would it's as a true Steeler fan, somebody who's watched the Steelers for years, be just not that good year after year. Where we're kind of some years we're great, but we can't quite get over the hump. We haven't been to the Super Bowl in over 10 years. So the thing I'm looking forward to for the Steelers this season is just to improve, to get better. And I'm not sure what direction the defense is going in right now, but I know the offense is going up. And so yesterday, I mean, Kenny still can get better. Definitely, he's got to improve on his deep ball accuracy a little bit, and he's got to get better at just letting it fly sometimes. But I thought Kenny looked good. I thought our receivers looked solid. Obviously, George Pickens was mad he didn't get the ball, but Freiermuth is a dog. Najee was running like a menace. And so I'm glad we got the win. I think we played solid. I think we could have played better, but I don't know, man. I think we've been looking pretty good.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on this one. Obviously, I'm not the biggest fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers, obviously. But
tell them who you're a fan of, bro. Tell them who you're a fan of.
My Giants are pretty good this year. 7-4-1. But I'm not the biggest fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Me personally, you have a 6'6", however tall Najee Harris is, 6'6", 6'3", 250-pound monster in the backfield. You should be handing him the ball 20 times a game at minimum. He's easily a 1,000-yard rusher every season. He's also really good in the passing game. I feel like that's where the Steelers are really lacking. And I'm not just saying that because he's on my fantasy team, of course, but he is definitely lacking, not getting enough touches. That man is a monster. He's been a monster since college. He needs to touch the ball 50% of the freaking plays. He is an absolute beast on the field. Personally, do you remember the last time a Pitt quarterback came into the NFL and started?
Yeah, Nathan Peterman.
It's been a very, very long time, and I can't remember the last time a Pitt quarterback was good since freaking Dan Marino.
I guess
it's really hard. I want to say, I've watched Kenny Pickett for a long time since college. I paid attention to him. I honestly didn't think he was going to go to the Steelers. Pitt players don't get a lot of love. Shout out D-Ham. D-Ham's balling right now with the Buffalo Bills.
Even Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd, they're talking about Tyler Boyd a lot now, especially with Cincinnati. And even James Conner. Like, when James Conner was with the Steelers, it was very exciting when he first got drafted, and then he became the starting running back after Le'Veon Bell. But whenever James Conner left in free agency, it was kind of seen as like a sad, like a bittersweet moment. Like, we were sad to see him go, but also we were like, he knew he wasn't our back anymore. But this is some solid Pitt players going on in the NFL. And I think the thing about Kenny is, yes, would I like him as much if he didn't go to Pitt? No, I wouldn't. Would I be wearing his jersey right now if he didn't go to Pitt? No, I wouldn't. But I think the thing is people have to remember that he's a rookie, and we have to take all the good with the bad. Even though he misses some of his deep balls, I mean, he can run, which men couldn't do. He hasn't thrown an interception in 4 games, which is, you can't ask for much more than that. And I just think he has that killer instinct.
Killer instincts that's a very strong word.
Got that dog in him, bro.
But I do believe he does have a dog in him. Yes, that is very true. But I also find myself asking myself the question: if he did not go to Pitt, say he went to freaking Cal U all the way across the country, would Pittsburgh have drafted him?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We wouldn't have drafted him.
So it gets to the question of, was he really that good, or was he just comfortable in Pittsburgh? Was Pittsburgh comfortable with drafting a guy that was in the same locker room already, came from Pitt? You know, I think Pittsburgh, they hold a lot of pride. For surely we hold a lot of pride here in Pittsburgh about hometown heroes, hometown people. Somehow we didn't draft, D Ham, who once again laid a nasty hit over there in that Buffalo game. But yeah, man, I don't think Kenny Pickett would have got drafted if he didn't play for Pitt. That is my personal opinion. Do I think Kenny Pickett is a bad quarterback? Absolutely not. He's probably one of the best Pitt quarterbacks they had in years.
I think he's the all-time leading passer in school history.
In years, he's definitely the best quarterback in years for Pitt. I've watched him since I started watching college football. To be personally honest, it has been amazing to see Kenny Pickett grow. It's been amazing to see him in the NFL. But going into a failing Pittsburgh offense, it is very, very rough. Very rough, I think, to throw a rookie first year in. And especially with Pittsburgh's brutal fans. You asked me between Pittsburgh and Philly, who has worse fans when it comes to players, and I'm probably going to tell you Pittsburgh, because we can love a guy 1 minute and we can hate a guy the next, and that is the absolute truth. And it's just, I think he started a little too early, but I do think he will progress throughout the season. He'll get better, and we'll see how he ends.
I agree with you that if he didn't go to Pitt, no, the Steelers wouldn't have drafted him. But I think it's more than just a hometown hero thing. Obviously, the Steelers and the Panthers, they share the same facility. We both have heard that probably 1,000 times, so we know about that. So I think they might have had some intel on him. They probably seen him in practice, things that me or you or anybody else hadn't seen.
For sure.
And I really do think he earned I think he earned being a first-round pick. Do I think he would have been the first quarterback taken off the board in a different draft with other quarterbacks? No, but I think he earned the right to be a first-round pick, and I think it was just a match made in heaven. The Steelers, Ben had just retired.
Yeah.
We had the 20th pick. It wasn't like we were going to trade up for him, if that makes sense. Because we didn't. If we wanted him that bad, we would have traded up for him.
If he wasn't on the board, who knows? Hypothetically, I don't want to do hypotheticals, but if he wasn't on the board, the Steelers would have been, drafting another quarterback no matter what.
Well, that's true. That's the question also, is where the Steelers looking for a quarterback regardless, because Malik Willis, they could have drafted him with the 20th pick, but he fell to the third round. He wasn't even after Kenny, he wasn't the next quarterback taken. I think it was either Desmond Ridder or somebody else. I can't remember who it was, but I feel like it was kind of just something perfect that happened. He fell to them. And the thing about starting too early or too soon, it's kind of tough, because I feel like it's good to get out the rookie, you know what I'm saying? Like the rookie play, like the interceptions and especially the interceptions. I think it's good to get it out this season, because I think we have aspirations to be good again next year.
Hey, who knows? Peyton Manning, his rookie season was absolutely garbage.
Yeah.
And Manning is one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play this game, undoubtedly. TB12 is obviously the best, but Peyton Manning is one of the best to ever play this game, and he had a horrible rookie season. I mean, I think it was 18-18 touchdown interception ratio. It was something bad. He was pretty high up there. But yeah, at least he's working on his turnovers and he's getting a lot better.
I just think the thing is so him playing at Pitt is kind of it works against him. It works in his favor, but it also works against him. It works in his favor to the fact that people love him and he's a fan. He's probably one of the most popular players on the team already. By the way, Peyton Manning threw 26 touchdowns in his rookie year, threw 28 interceptions. So, but the thing that works against him is because we saw him play at Pitt and we saw him take Pitt to places they haven't been in so long. I mean, an ACC championship, that's incredible. It's incredible. So we saw him play like this super real life superhero, and so when he comes to the Steelers, I think people might have had an expectation that he was going to instantly be.
A
And
factor, which
I
is a
think they
very,
thought,
very for rookie quarterbacks. And I feel
yes,
hold rookies to a very, very high or standard that we shouldn't hold rookies to. But the
hmm
thing, once you're in the NFL, you're immediately judged once you're on that field. It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what year you're in.
yeah.
If you're out there in that field starting, you will be judged no matter what, and that is how it goes.
I mean, I just think, yeah, I think people definitely at the problem with Kenny. I think he just needs this. Honestly, he just needs to stay off Twitter, stay off Instagram. He needs to delete all. Like he better not be. Don't watch our podcast. Like don't listen to anything talking about him because the way for Kenny Pickett to truly reach his full potential is just stay out of his own way and don't let it get to his head. Because I think the issue that I have with Kenny is that it's like every single play he makes is under a microscope. Like I don't know how much of the games you watch, but it's like every throw he makes, whether it's a good throw, whether it's a bad throw, whether it's a catch or a drop or whatever, every single throw he makes, the announcers always have some type of comment on it. Everybody has a comment
Oh,
about every single play he makes, and that's
same thing about, you say the same thing about Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson could have a 400-yard passing game. Someone's still going to say, man, that guy can't throw the football.
yeah.
It does, like I said, there's different standards for everybody, and especially when you're coming to be a starter in a Pittsburgh. If he started in freaking Jacksonville, just like Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence was an amazing quarterback in college.
Mhm.
You know, everyone's cutting him slack because he's playing for Jacksonville. You play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. No, everyone's going to head you to this big, high standard. We had a franchise guy for a while. Jacksonville, they haven't had no one
Mhm.
since freaking Maurice Jones-Drew. That's the last good player Jacksonville has had.
What you mean? They had Jalen Ramsey, Saxonville.
Yeah, and he
Come on,
left
bro.
for a reason. And
What'd you say?
that's what it is. He left for a reason. Jalen
Oh
Ramsey,
yeah, thanks.
he wasn't
I
going
just,
nowhere.
I just think, I just think the Steelers. So let me ask you this: do you think the Steelers can win a Super Bowl with Kenny Pickett as their quarterback?
That is a very good question.
Not will they? Can they?
That is a very good question. I think only time can tell. Um, I don't believe in the next couple years. No, maybe in 7 years when the Steelers finally figure everything out. Maybe down the line, 5 years from now. I think they have to worry about getting to the playoffs first. I think that is the biggest thing. They have to worry about getting to the playoffs.
Do you think they'll make it this year? I hope they don't. But I mean, looking at their schedule, they might.
No way. There's a lot of competition in the NFL right now. You see the NFC East loaded, all teams in the playoffs right now. That's how good they are over there in the NFC
Yeah,
East.
yeah. The
Um,
NFC least. That's crazy. That's still the crazy. That's still crazy to me, bro.
the Giants, we'll get to the Giants. We'll get to the Giants soon. We'll get to the Giants, but it is it's rough. It's rough.
Well, the thing about Kenny, which will be tough for him, is he at the moment there's definitely it's not just the quarterback competition around the league, but it's the quarterback competition in his division, and that'll bring us into our next our next topic. Lamar Jackson, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, obviously the 2019 MVP, is the best player on the Baltimore Ravens. It's not even close. He's the most valuable player on that team. They go as
They
he
still won't
goes.
pay him, and they still won't pay him.
And so they haven't paid him, and now he's potentially hurt. How do you think his injury will impact his potential contract extension?
I think Lamar Jackson should sit out for the rest of the season. I thought in the beginning of the season he should have sat out. I didn't think he should play. I didn't think he should risk injury. Nothing. But Lamar Jackson is such a real person that he would rather go out there and fight with his whole team and go out there and play every single game because he's not that type of person. But in all reality, in this world, you got to watch out for yourself and no one else because that team that he's playing on obviously does not care about him. They know he deserves an extension. Everyone in the NFL knows he deserves an extension, and they did not give it to him. If he goes to free agency, any team will offer him. The Giants will offer him.
Yeah.
The Denver Broncos will offer him. Shit, fucking the Steelers might even offer him. He's
I really
Lamar.
don't want him, bro. We
That
don't
is,
want him.
that is a franchise guy. You know, obviously, everyone talks about his arm. Everyone talks about this. Everyone talks about that. Do I think Lamar Jackson is the most accurate guy in the NFL? No, by no means.
But he
But I
doesn't have to
think
be.
he's a wonderful quarterback. I think he quarterback. I don't think he's just a runner. I think he's a wonderful quarterback. I think he's the best, one of the best athletes in this whole entire league. And I think he deserves a contract extension. And if the Baltimore Ravens aren't going to give it to him, somebody else will.
I think the thing about Lamar, which is so crazy, is the Ravens are a good team, but obviously they had the year where they went 14-2. And then I'm not sure what their record was in 2020, but then I know last year, they were 8-3, number one seed in the AFC, and then Lamar goes down, they lose 6 straight games in the season, they'll make the playoffs. But
Wait, Lamar, what is that team?
so
What
it
what
seems to
what are
seems to me that when the Ravens win, it is because of Lamar, but when they lose, it's because of something else, whether it's the defense blowing a 21 point lead in the fourth quarter to Miami, or the lack of weapons that he has around him. I mean, look at last season, and it wasn't necessarily the front office's fault what happened with their running back situation. I'm pretty sure all 3 of their running backs got injured before the season even started. But last season he had Le'Veon Bell, Devontae Freeman, and I'm not sure who else was there. That's a tremendous backfield. If it's
what
2017,
maybe
that's a tremendous backfield. But in 2021, that's not really getting it done. And they had Marquise Brown, but they traded him. Who's their number one receiver now? They're talking about Mark Andrews, who is one of the best tight ends in the league. He's not having the best year. I'm hearing from ESPN that he's not even one of the top tight ends in the NFL anymore.
he's having a very down season. But I think the biggest thing that sticks out to with Lamar is obviously everyone knows he can run, but I feel like everyone holds him to a very unfair standard because he runs. Um, Justin Field runs. Justin Field runs a lot. Some may even compare him to Lamar Jackson. But everyone says, "Oh, Justin Field runs because his line sucks," which may be true, which may not be true, but he still runs and he's good at running. No one cares that he's good at running, though. No one cares about that. No one cares that this guy's making unbelievable plays back to back to back. The guy's a great quarterback. Both of those guys are great quarterbacks, and they run. The way you got to look at football now is it's going to a different time in like the league where quarterbacks can run 4 threes and throw the ball 70 yards down the field. I think your offense opens up a lot more with RPOs, read options. If you run a different type of offense, you weren't running no read option with Ben. You weren't running no RPOs. You might have ran an RPO, but you weren't running no read options with Ben and him taking it 60 yards down the field for a run. No freaking way. No way. It's a different time in football, and I think people need to get used to that. That is a whole different time in football.
Well, I mean, just think about what you said about the RPOs. It's like every single quarterback has to be able to run now because, I mean, the Ravens, I'm not sure when the RPO started, but I know when it became popular back when Lamar first did it in 2019 when he was the MVP. It was like RPOs were this unbelievable thing that everybody did now. And it's like, look at teams who have a quarterback that can't move. I mean, look at the Steelers in the last couple
It's
seasons with
a
Ben.
whole different game plan. Your game
Like, just,
plan, quarterback that can't move, there's no like the game plan
yeah,
is different. The way your game plan against Lamar Jackson is way
totally.
the way you're game planning against Tom Brady.
Hmm.
Tom Brady's not running out the field. You're not going to have to leave a spy on him. You can have an extra DB on the field and, go ahead and go in coverage. You're not leaving a spy open for Tom Brady. But for Lamar Jackson, you might leave 2 spies open for Lamar Jackson because you don't want him to burn you with his legs. And that's just the honest fact.
Well, I think the thing is about having quarterbacks who can run now, especially with in the times that we are today, there's so much film and there's so much next gen stats that it's kind of like the thing about having a running quarterback is whenever your playmakers fail to get open or fail to make plays, it's just an asset that you have that like think about Patrick Mahomes when they played the Texans a couple years ago in the playoffs and they were losing by 24. Patrick Mahomes is not a running quarterback by any means. Not any by any means. he's the best throwing quarterback, but he can run, but he's not a super known for his running. He
He's
scored a
very
24 he scored a 24-yard touchdown in that game on the run with his legs, making I forget what they refer to them as, but making those kind of you know what I'm talking about? The plays that they're unscheduled plays or something like that. But that's the thing about why having a running quarterback is so valuable, especially in today's NFL. Is like, look at the teams that don't have running quarterbacks. The Bucks, even with Tom Brady and all the weapons they have, are not doing good this year.
they're not doing
Um,
they're not doing
the
hard.
Colts had Matt Ryan back there, quarterback.
Nope.
This is
Gee.
like the worst season they've had in years, and you know what I'm saying. And I just
And don't
you
get
just
me
have
started on the Colts offensive line. The same
yeah,
reason Buck retired. That's why he
and just yeah, bro, and just like just to have a quarterback who cannot move is
doesn't
such a detriment.
in this league of football. It does not benefit you. We can say
Yeah.
that. It doesn't benefit you at all.
And just like even just to have a quarterback who can just have some type of threat, like even an unexpected threat, like Joe Burrow yesterday against Kansas City had a couple runs where he had to go out there and get it done himself. So I think the fact that let me ask you this. What is more important for a team? Is it more important to have a quarterback who specializes in running or to not have a quarterback who can't run at all? Like, would you rather have a quarterback that can hurt you with his legs a little bit or a quarterback that could, like a Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields type, that like that's his main asset?
Um, Obviously for quarterbacks, I think the arm is the most important part. I won't say that. I won't go that far and say I'd rather have a running quarterback that can run really good and throw bad. I much rather have a good quarterback that can throw dots 50 yards down the field. But I do think it is very, very beneficial, very extremely beneficial actually, to run the ball as a quarterback. Not be back there sitting in the pocket and the whole field's open for 10 yards and you have a wide open lane and you're not running. Even Tom Brady will take off sometimes, but you know he's not getting no more than 5 yards without someone touching him because
But
he's
look at
not.
Matt Ryan. Look at Matt Ryan last Monday against the Steelers. He had a 16-yard run at the end of the game.
Yep, you got to be mobile in this league, and I think that is where it's going for surely.
I just think the thing about Lamar, though, is it's interesting to kind of look at, if you look at the numbers, I'm looking at them right now, to just see if he's really gotten better. His MVP season,
That's a good question.
3,100 passing yards. In terms of his arm, we know he can run. That we're not even questioning that. But it's in terms of his arm. Let me give you this: passing yards, 3,127, so 3,127. 36 TDs, 6 interception. That is elite. Those are elite numbers.
Yep,
And 66 completion percentage. That's pretty good. But then the next season, completion percentage goes down to 64.4%. That's still solid. Only 2,700 yards, 26 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. It's still a great year. That's an incredible year. Last year, 2,800 yards, only 16 touchdowns with his arm, and 13 interceptions, bro. And even this season, he was having a pretty good year passing this year, though. I'll tell you that. 2,200 so far, 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. It's just interesting to see like how much people would prioritize having a quarterback who runs but his arm isn't necessarily there versus having a quarterback who can beat you with his arm but also can kind of run a little bit. You
and
know
the
what I'm
thing
saying?
is, with Lamar Jackson, finish it off with this is like it's not like he can't throw the football. Like you said, he threw for
He
3,000.
can. Mm-hmm.
Like he can't throw the football. He can throw the football just fine. But where's his weapons at? We can talk about that with the Giants too. The Giants don't have many weapons. You know, I was never the biggest fan of Daniel Jones. To this day, I still ain't. But he is our quarterback, and I do cut him some slack because he doesn't have many weapons to throw the football to. If you shut the Giants or you shut the Giants run offense down, the Giants are poor. They can't do too much. And I do not blame that entirely on Daniel Jones. He has made an extremely big jump from his rookie season, and that is the absolute truth. He's been really, really good this season. He can be better, of course, but like I said, he doesn't have many weapons to work with here. You give a quarterback the weapons that he has. Even though he does have some good guys, Slayton. I'm a big fan of Slayton, but there's just not many. There's not many weapons for quarterbacks, especially when it's constantly changing with injuries and everything. You got to have guys that can get on the field and play the whole game.
So I don't watch the Giants too much. I'd be lying if I said I did. He has Saquon. Is he not a threat to throw to?
The thing is, if you shut down that one, exactly what you thought, exactly what you're saying, everyone else in America is thinking. Saquon Barkley. You got Saquon Barkley. If you shut down Saquon Barkley, who else is on that team? Who else is making big plays? Daniel Jones' arm is always in question. His arm has always been in question. I think his arm is greatly improved, but if you shut down Saquon Barkley, you shut down the read option with Saquon and Daniel Jones, that team doesn't do too much. And I think that was a very key thing to these last couple of games that they shut down read options and they shut down, Saquon Barkley, and there's not much offense on that team. The defense is playing great, yeah, at times. Sometimes I think our cornerbacks and our D-backs in general just we're not as good as our defensive line. I'll say that. Our defensive line is 5 stars and our D-back is like a 3. We can definitely work in that section, but our defense for all the most part is pretty good. And I think a lot of people will agree with that part that our D line is pretty good, probably one of the best in the league. Even though our defense, I think, is ranked like 29th something right now. Like we have very bad things like freaking second quarter. I think we are allowing like the most points in the league. It's a working process, but I think for a lot of Giants fans like myself out there, just like the Steelers, we're happy to be a lot better than we were last year. I'll tell you that.
Well, so the thing that's interesting to me about the Giants is like you mentioned they have no weapons. They don't have any wide receivers. They traded their first round pick, Kadarius Toney. He was a first round pick like a year or two ago. Why would they do that?
Um, a lot of people say he was injury prone. You know,
But isn't he doing good at Kansas City?
he's really he's. I never thought it was a good idea to trade. I never think it's a good idea to trade a first round pick.
Especially only a year after. Like that's
Unless
very early to give up.
unless it's a quarterback like freaking Baker Mayfield or something.
Like Josh Rosen.
Ever,
But
ever,
even Baker had like 4 years before the Browns were like, yeah, bro, like, you're not him.
yeah. But that's what I'm saying. John's front office, man, it is a mess in there. It is
Do
the
you think they're gonna sign Odell?
no. Odell's going to the Cowboys.
He's going to the Cowboys.
Right here on press coverage. That is where Odell's going. Just talk to him. He's going to the Cowboys.
Okay, well, yeah. So the Giants, I hope they've been on a bit of a cold streak as of late. I know they started 6-1, 7-4-1 now. Did you watch the game yesterday?
I sure did, and it was a
Tell me
piss
what you think about it. A tie to the they were losing 10-0, so they kind of made a comeback.
piss poor performance by the Giants. I mean, it was absolute
So they should have won.
madness. It was absolute madness. Yes, they're down, and the Giants are always used to being down. At the beginning of the year, I was talking to another Giants fan. The problem with the Giants is never that we're a bad football team. We lose really, really, really close games every year. We never knew how to finish. And at the beginning of the season, you know what it was? We were finishing football games fully out. We were finishing them. There was a game that we lost to the Panthers. Graham Gano kicked a 64-yard field goal. I watched that game. The whole game, he kicked a 64-yard field goal at the end of the game to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
That type of losses the Giants had. Yes, we had a horrible record, but you go back and look at them seasons, there wasn't many games where the Giants were getting blown out. We're losing by touchdowns, field goals, 10 points. There wasn't, and yesterday was a I say it's a piss poor game because it was it was very weird. We were down, and then we came back. We're up 20-13. Last couple minutes of the fourth quarter, and we could not finish the ball game. That's all that comes out. We can't finish a ball game.
So
Finish a ball game in football. If you can't
yeah.
finish the game, you can't win. In football, if you can't finish, you can't do nothing. It doesn't matter what you did in the first quarter. You scored 25 points in the first quarter, and if you score 0 the rest of the game, you're going to lose the football game.
Well, and so it's funny you mention winning the close games, and a kind of example that hits me is I think about it all the time is the Steelers. In 2017, the year we lost to the Jaguars in the divisional game, that season we beat the Packers on a field goal at the end of the game. We beat the Colts on a field goal at the end of the game. We beat the Bengals on a field goal at the end of the game. We beat the Ravens on a field goal at the end of the game. That's only 4 that I can remember off the top of my head. I'm sure there was way more.
Really, if you did see the end of that game yesterday, Graham Goodell missed that field goal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I hear.
Yeah. And the thing is
able to finish those. He should have been in a situation and kick that, because we got the ball back in overtime, and you'd never expect to get the ball back in overtime. You got to finish that game. You get the ball first in overtime, you got to go down and score. That is number one rule. You can't you can't put the hand.
Is that coaching? Is that defense? Is that offense? Who is to blame for that?
I think
it's coaching.
I think the offense is very slack. Like, I think we were very hot at the beginning of the year. I don't think teams really expected Saquon to do what he did at the beginning of the year. And now they're starting to game plan for Saquon a lot more, 10 times more than they were.
He's been healthy finally, yeah.
But now everyone's starting to catch up to him. You know, Saquon's getting the most touches he's had ever in his career. Mm-hmm. And you can't expect him to carry the whole load.
Yeah.
Even though I want Saquon to be that guy, I want him to be the one that carries the load. You shouldn't expect that out of anybody, to carry the whole football team, especially a running back. You can't put that on his shoulders. And I will say, there was a game recently that we lost, really close game. And I remember talking to somebody about it. And I'm like, this is a contract year for Saquon Barkley, and you're barely putting the ball in his hands in the fourth quarter. That is a problem. Contract year. This is supposed to be your star guy. This is supposed to be your X factor. Give him the ball in the fourth quarter and let him do what he do. I'm totally fine if Saquon Barkley in the fourth quarter gets 20 touches and freaking only gets 10 yards. I don't care. Give that man the ball in the fourth quarter. Give him the ball. That's your star guy. That's your guy who you got to go with. Give him the ball every single time you can, because he is supposed to be your guy.
Well, so, and I think you bring up an interesting point, because you talk about Daniel Jones, how he's not the greatest quarterback, but he's still been getting better. I think the thing that makes some quarterbacks good versus great is just the ability to get it to your star players. And so whether it's just calling run plays, that's not on the quarterback, that's on the offensive coordinator. But that's why it's important to get Daniel Jones some weapons around him before you can start judging him, because sometimes it's just about throwing it up to your star guys and letting them make a play. You don't have to throw a perfect ball every time. You don't have to put a perfect pass. It's just about putting it in a position for your stars to have a chance to make something happen. But with Daniel Jones, it seems like he doesn't have any stars other than Saquon.
I do agree, but as someone did say, this is his 5th year. He was a first-round pick. Mm-hmm. Sooner or later, we can't be judging him like he's still a kid. He's been in this league for 5 years, and he has to prove something. You know,
he can still run it though, right?
Yeah, he runs. He can run. He can run just fine. Don't get me wrong.
He's the white Lamar.
No one expected that to run. He can run the ball.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing is, like I said, if you take away that run, that offense is really lacking. Really lacking. It's really bad. We should have never tied with Washington. The Giants know we should never tie with Washington. Washington know we should never tie with them. You know what I mean? It is what it is, but it's all right. It's all right. We'll get there.
So, what about Coach Dable? You like your new coach, right?
I think Dable's different. I like his style of offense really good. I like his style. I like his aggression.
Well, he went for the 2-point conversion against Jacksonville to win the game. I like stuff like that.
I like his aggression.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can come to bite you, like John Harbaugh, for instance. End of the game, John Harbaugh is going for two.
Yeah.
Said Lamar Jackson's your star player. He's your X factor. Put the
Yeah.
ball in his hands. Let the game, let the game end on him. But I like
It's
his style.
yeah.
I was a fan of Joe Judge. Joe
Hmm.
Judge, the way he came in, Joe
Yeah,
Judge, he
for
was
sure.
aggressive. He acted like he was going to make a change, and we were still horrible last season. So, but now it's a change. I think it's the change that the Giants are looking for.
It's kind of crazy how much of a difference coaching can make, especially in the professional leagues. And I think the issue is you don't want to get stuck in a coaching carousel where it seems like you have a new coach every head year or a new head coach every year.
Which is what the
A team
Giants.
that has a team that has a new coach as of late is the Indianapolis Colts. They
Mm-hmm.
just hired Jeff Saturday straight off of ESPN, straight off of the talk shows, straight off of the They hired the pancake guy from 8 o'clock in the morning off ESPN. He coaches his first game for them, and they get an impressive late win over the Raiders. But now they've lost three in a row, and they blew the game to the Eagles. They lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers, which we still don't know how embarrassing that loss is yet. We'll see how the Steelers go for the rest of the season, but at home, Pittsburgh Steelers, obviously he had the blunder with the timeouts at the end. And then last night, the game against the Cowboys,
Oh,
I guess stuff like that happens.
not a blowout like that's not ever. This isn't college football. Those are grown men you have on the field. That was a horrible performance. And I'm a big fan of Jeff Saturday. I put it like this. That guy's a legend.
Yeah.
No, and I feel like it's like this. If he was Peyton Manning, no one would have questioned him being the head coach. But I feel as if he was an offensive lineman, legend or not, don't get the respect they deserve as
Yeah.
football players. The guy's a Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer,
He's
12-time Pro Bowler,
he's not
Super Bowl champion.
he's not a Joe Schmo off the street.
Yeah.
He is Jeff Saturday, the Hall of Famer, and I feel like he doesn't get the respect he deserves. Because if that was Peyton Manning, guess what? No one would have even looked twice. Everybody would be like, "Oh, that's a great coach right there. He's going to
Yeah.
change."
Well, and I think the thing is obviously we know coaching makes a difference, but coaching to me is about two things: your X's and O's, your basic fundamental strategy about the game, and being able to motivate the players and being able to get your players to want to run through a wall for you.
Let's
The
look
thing I
at
like,
it like this.
yeah.
Colts record for the past couple years, right?
Mm-hmm.
When was their last winning season? Do you know their last winning season? Because I sure don't.
Their last one of this season?
Their last winning season was in 2020. That was their last good season. Okay,
Yeah, they were 12-4 that year.
they were 9-8, 2021. But I'm saying winning really good seasons. The only difference between the Colts is they put their best player in the position and they hand him the ball. He's having a really rocky season this year. I feel like a lot of running backs are having rocky seasons. Ezekiel Elliott, him. They're having rocky seasons, but he is the best player on that team. And he almost carried them to a championship game because they put the ball in his hands and he went to work every single time.
Well, and I think the thing is like about the Colts is it comes back to the quarterback play. It comes back to Matt Ryan. He got benched, and then Jeff Saturday took over and he got his starting spot back. But against the Steelers, like he was not good. And sometimes just be like a quarterback can't be defined just by his own personal stats, but by the flow of the offense and the way which the offense moves. If you watch that game in the first half against the Steelers, the Colts were awful. They were terrible. They couldn't move the ball at all. I think they scored like 3 points or something like that. It took an 89-yard kickoff return to get the Colts some life and some energy to get back into that game. And I just think the thing I think Jeff Saturday, like you said, will get judged too quickly because he's an offensive lineman, or he wasn't like a quarterback or anything.
So if you
But
man, no one even raised their eye. Just like
yeah,
I'm gonna put it like this, just like Steve Nash in the NBA.
yes,
Steve Nash, everyone's like, "Oh, Steve Nash is a legend,"
yes,
about it. But at the same time, everyone understood Steve Nash was a legend in basketball. So
mhm.
no one was like, "Oh, that's horrible." Like, yeah, everybody was like, "Well, yeah, there's coaches out there that been coaching forever," but no one was like, "Oh, Steve Nash is going to be absolutely terrible at coaching." You know why? Because he's Steve Nash.
It's about being able to motivate your players because the people they're in, especially in professional sports leagues, the players on the Colts, they're in the NFL, they're good enough, they're there for a reason, they have a job for a reason.
Mhm.
I think Jeff Saturday is the type of person, if you hear his sound bites and his snippets, I think he motivates his players well. And I'm sure there's enough guys and enough coaches around him that could kind of help him with some of the strategic things. I mean, he was the center. You could argue that next to the quarterback, the center is probably one of the most important players on the offense because they have to call out. I see him. I never played football. I definitely didn't play a line, but they're calling out the coverages. They're calling out who the blitzers are. Would you agree with that?
I think, obviously, me being a offensive line guy myself, it is the least respected
Yeah. It
football.
starts winning football games starts and ends in the trenches. It starts and ends
Uh,
in the trenches.
like I said with the line, though, it's like the thing is, if you have a terrible line, everyone's going to know about it. You have a
Yeah.
mediocre O line, everyone's going to know about it.
Mhm.
If you have a really good O line, it's a rarity that you get credit for having a really good O line.
Yeah, so unless you're one of the top O lines, they'll give you credit. But I agree. If you're just like a good O line, we're not really going to hear about it too much. And the Colts O line, I mean, they still have Quentin Nelson, their left guard, but I mean, they haven't. You know what I'm saying? And their defense has their defense been that solid this year? They've been all
Right?
right.
They
They
made
got DeForest Buckner.
they made efforts. They went and got I think the what's his name from the Packers that just transferred over there. That brother is good when he played with the Packers. The twins, Smith.
What
What's
position do he play? Oh, is it Darius Smith?
yeah,
Maybe.
he went over there from the Packers. He was really good. Him and Preston Smith were really, really good for the Packers.
Yes, yes.
Um, but yeah, I don't think that team's it right now. They got Stephon Gilmore too, which is another guy.
Oh yeah, uh-huh.
He
Uh-huh.
had he had a pick yesterday in that game. That game was really close, but they pulled off on them after that. After
Well, yeah, there was a
that,
2-point game in the second half, and then it was kind of like
they pulled.
a snowball of just this. Just
I mean,
I didn't watch the game fully, but I kind of had it on in the back,
I,
and it was like every time I looked up, the Cowboys scored another touchdown.
yeah, I turned the game off after they went up
Yeah,
and they got the 40. I'm like, okay, the game's over. I'm turning this thing off. And then they scored twice after that, which for a lot of fantasy heads out there, if
oh yeah,
if someone you were playing had the Cowboys players, I know you weren't too happy because they weren't supposed to score that much, and they completely dominated. That's another thing. Dak Prescott. I don't think
well,
I don't think Dak Prescott's making a crazy. I might be biased. I'm a Jazz fan. I don't like the Cowboys as it is. I don't think he's making much of an impact that a lot of quarterbacks can't make. He passed for 170 yards yesterday,
who Dak Prescott?
2 touchdowns. That's it.
I think he's coming off of his injury, and I think the Cowboys have a good enough team around him where he just doesn't need to be a superstar. He needs to be a player like we kind of mentioned earlier, a player to get the ball to his superstars and to kind of let them work because I mean they have stars on that team on that offense.
That's a good take. That's a good take.
Two-headed monster on in the backfield in terms of their running backs. And their defense is crazy, bro. I mean, their defense is arguably the one that carries them to the wins.
That I don't like talking about them too much. I don't want to give them
Cowboys.
I
Yeah.
don't any credit for being good, but
Sorry, bro. My bad.
them dang Cowboys. I'm a
But
Stephen A. Smith hater when
oh, I hate Stephen A. Smith. Yeah, I hate him so much. But
comes to the
All
Cowboys.
right. Yeah, but all right. Well, that's going to conclude our NFL talk for this first episode of press coverage. We'll be back in a few minutes after hearing from some of our sponsors, and we'll see you in a minute.
All right, and we are back here talking about our next topic on the list. Do you believe that Alabama should have got into the college football playoffs this year?
So that's a tough question. Obviously, the debate would be should Alabama. I think it's no question Ohio State deserved to get in. Do we agree on that?
Oh yeah, for sure. Ohio State had a great year. They also play in a tougher conference.
Mm-hmm. Their only loss came against the second-ranked team in the country, and yeah, they got beat on, but still, that you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they were a good team.
So the question here is, did Alabama deserve to get in? Should Alabama have gotten in over TCU? And it kind of boils down to a few things. If you look at Alabama's resume versus TCU's resume, first of all, Alabama lost 2 games this season, both on the road, both on the last play of the game,
very close game,
in rival, in conference, road games on the last play, very close. It's weird because it's kind of crazy how much one play can change the entire complexity of the college football season. So even if they lose to Tennessee, that play against LSU, we're talking about 1 2-point conversion play out of that entire game where there was probably 100+ plays ran between both teams. If that 2-point conversion, say it's a drop, or somebody makes a bad play on LSU, or LSU takes a penalty, and they don't make that changes the whole entire argument. So it's kind of crazy to me how I think Alabama should have got in. That's just me as a casual college football watcher. I think Georgia versus Alabama. Well, Georgia's playing Ohio State, that'll be a good game. But I think Georgia versus Alabama would have been way in Michigan versus Ohio State is way better than having Michigan play TCU. And let's be honest, I think Michigan will probably win that game by 20 points. I don't think it'll be close.
With that, with the college football playoffs, I think it's absolute garbage. One, that it's only 4 teams. I'm glad we're expanding the college football playoffs. 2, I can't remember the last time someone lost a game and moved up in the college football playoff bracket. Lost the game.
Well, they stayed the same. You rarely ever see that happen. Like, they didn't even put Ohio State above them.
Lost the game.
Yeah.
Should have been, okay, if you're not going to take them out, put them 4. They lost. They lost. Like, yeah, they had a good season. Good job. Yeah, they made a championship game. Good job. They lost the game.
Well, why didn't USC stay in? They lost too. Why did Ohio State jump them?
And I exactly. Well, I think USC had 2 losses, but the thing is,
did USC have 2 losses? Okay, yeah, I think you're right.
Once again, they played in the championship game. Ohio State didn't. Okay, whatever. You can use that against them. They lost.
And the thing about the college football playoff is it's really about the overall body of work and about the resume. And you could talk about Alabama. The key for the college football playoff committee is to get the 4 best teams in. That's what they say. That's what the criteria is. Are you telling me TCU isn't better than Alabama? I mean, I'm looking at their schedule right now. And it looks like they have 4 ranked wins on here. They beat the 18th ranked Oklahoma by 31. They beat 19th ranked Kansas by 7. They beat 8 ranked Oklahoma State by 3. They beat 17th ranked KSU by 10. So I mean that's a pretty solid resume if you think about it.
I mean, the thing with me, here's what I'm saying, is they should have moved down at least a spot. They should have moved down. If you're not going to put Alabama in, move TCU down to 4. The best, if TCU goes to the playoffs and gets completely blown out, the committee is going to look like a complete joke. The fact that you let this team in and they get blown out in the playoffs, they're going to look like a complete joke because everyone knows Alabama should have been in the playoffs. Alabama lost to Tennessee, by the way.
So do you think Alabama should have made it in?
A missed field goal by Alabama. Alabama beat themselves in that game. Tennessee didn't beat them. Alabama beat themselves completely in that game, and they should be in the playoffs right now.
Well, we're talking about we're talking about TCU's ranked wins. I mean, look at Alabama's schedule. And these rankings, I'm pretty sure, are as of the most recent. They're not as of what it was at the time, but
It's just
still,
that time
they
as
have
well.
a win on the road over 20th Arkansas
Yep.
by 23 points. They lost to Tennessee. They beat 24th ranked Mississippi State by 24. They beat 11th ranked Ole Miss by 6. They have
Mm-hmm.
2 losses for a total of 4. They've lost by 4. That's what they've been outscored by in those games, was 4 points. And it's just crazy to me how one play on that LSU play, the 2-point conversion, if that receiver drops the pass and Alabama gets credited with the win, are they still looked at the same as? Do you kind of see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is I think people were getting tired of Alabama,
Yeah.
which is okay. That's fine. But I do think it's very unfair that TCU moved 0. Like they didn't go down, which they should
You
have won.
rarely ever see that. It almost seems
They
like the
lost.
college football play. It seems like the committee was making a statement by doing that. Would you agree? It
They,
kind of felt like they were making a statement, like we're not budging on you guys.
yeah, because that's what everyone thought they were going to do. Oh, they're going to let Bama in because Bama's Bama. Well, yeah, everyone wants to see Bama in the playoffs. But the thing is, TCU shouldn't have been third at all.
Do you think they should have been fourth?
Fourth, definitely. Do I think Bama deserves to get in? Am I biased? Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Do I think TCU absolutely deserves to play in the playoffs? Yeah, they had a really good season. They had one of the best seasons. I think if you're an undefeated team, you should definitely deserve to be in the playoffs. But the thing is, they lost to Utah. So Utah beat them. The thing that I never understand, or not I understand, but the thing is, college football isn't like NFL football, as we know. The championship game is like their playoffs. Not even their. It's not their playoffs. The championship game is the championship game for their conference, and you lost that. You lost.
Well, and that's the thing is Alabama didn't win their conference. That's what people were saying. Alabama didn't win their conference. Well, neither did TCU.
They lost. So how do you put someone in the college football playoffs and they lost? Like in the NFL, if they lost in the playoffs, guess what? They're out.
Yeah.
So it's just, I mean, am I a little biased? Do I think I was a little mad Bama didn't get in? Yeah. Do I see why TCU got in? Yeah. But I do think the college football playoff of 4-man bracket is just a joke. And I've always thought that the way they rank is also a joke. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
Well, you know who didn't make the playoffs this year, and who probably they might make the playoffs soon. It's Colorado, and I know they have a new head coach, and I know you feel some type of way about that. So I'm gonna take a back seat. I'll let you take it away. Go ahead.
Oh man, Deion. I look up to Deion as a football player.
Prime time. Used to have that one card on Madden Mobile.
He's a legend. Don't get me wrong, he's a legend. By no means am I a person to say, "Oh, stick it out for the rest of your life." Yada yada yada.
Yeah.
I don't. Job's a job. You go there to do your job and then you leave whenever you feel fit. But in all reality, I think the only thing that left a sour taste in my mouth is that I felt like he was doing really good for, the SWAC. I felt like he was doing really good for that conference. And then he just blew it all up. Like, yeah, he made them a lot better. Yeah, he put a light on them. But the light was really only getting started this year. That's the thing. Light was getting started this year. Everyone was paying attention to him. Shit, if they had 2 more seasons undefeated, they might have been in the college football playoffs. They might have became a ranked team. Like, these are the things that I think repercussions to what he just did that he may not realize that that the NCAA was starting to realize, hey, this is a real team. This is a team that is undefeated. I think if he stayed a little longer, 2 more years, man, he might have been in the college football playoffs. They were really thinking about this team was really good. I think it was wrong just because I feel like I was watching some interviews of him and I was like, oh, he's not going to leave, he's going to stay it out. He's going to stick it out. And then he went to Colorado. I could see if he went to somewhere good.
Colorado's not necessarily a very desired program.
They were 1-10. And that's another thing with college right now. I think they need to do something about the transfer portal now.
Yeah, the transfer portal is getting bad.
It's going to become a very big problem for the kids coming out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
It's becoming the thing is with JUCO, with the transfer portal, how many opportunities can you give the kids in high school?
Yeah. Well, it's also think about it like there should be some type of penalty to try to make you not be able to transfer so easily.
Well, just like in high school football and PA, if you transfer school,
think about the whips. I was about to say, think about the whips. If you transfer, you can't play in the playoffs next year.
You can't play. Sometimes they don't let you play the whole season.
Yeah, that's what. I don't know if you want to be that harsh, but I think if you have a real reason to transfer, maybe you lost your scholarship, you lost your job. Yeah, but people who just transfer because they think the team's not going to be good anymore, to me, that's not a valid excuse. Look at Jordan Addison, the wide receiver at Pitt.
Like JSU. Mm-hmm. All those kids are
all their players are going to go transfer to Colorado now.
Just because Deion left. Yeah. And it brings me to another subject. Never, ever pick a college that you're going to be out for 4 years as a coach. Never.
Just look at Spencer James.
It's a bad idea. You go there because you love the program. Everyone was preaching that JSU love, and then everyone blew it up. And I just feel like that's wrong. I feel like what Deion did was a little wrong. I'm not going to go as far as, he let down the black community. No, I'm not going to go that far, but I am going to say, I didn't like what he did. Coach Deion is a great coach. He's been a great coach since high school when he was coaching high school. He's done a lot for the black community. I would never say he hasn't, but the main thing is I feel like he was just starting to shine a light on, HBCUs and their football program, and he blew it up a little too early.
Do you think he'll be able to make Colorado a fortified contender, or do you think he's going to have to go somewhere else before he can maybe do that?
Yeah. My biggest thing, like I said, is out of all places he went to Colorado. Mm-hmm. That is a horrible program over there.
Not a top tier program, yeah. Well, what conference are they in? The Pac-12 or are they Power 5?
Yeah, they're in Pac-12.
Okay, yeah.
So, I can see if he went somewhere, that were contenders already. Mm-hmm. Even if he went to somewhere like Pitt, we're like, yeah, we're good, but we're not that good.
Oh, I wish he would go to Pitt. That'd be crazy.
The thing is, he didn't go top 25 school. I feel like he went to a school where he can bring all his recruits with him because that roster is horrible and he can change everything he wants and they're going to let him do it. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, if he went to Michigan obviously he wasn't going to Michigan, but if he or Cincinnati, Cincinnati's coaching spot is open. He didn't go to Cincinnati. You know what I mean?
Well, they're not Power 5. I think he wanted to go Power 5.
Either way, Cincinnati, what were they ranked? They were ranked top 10 last year.
So they made it to the college football playoff.
You know what I mean? So why did he choose a school like that? He chose a school that has nothing. And that's just another thing I don't understand. Why? He didn't give I was watching his interviews and I just feel like he didn't give a why. Now, does he owe us a why? No. But like I said, he was this close to, I feel like, really changing the game with HBCUs. And yeah, he shined the light on it, but now the light's gone. No one's going to talk about HBCUs no more. I'm going to put it like that. No one is.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. All right. Well, that'll wrap up our college football talk for this episode. When we come back, we're going to give you a good insight into some 2 lifelong LeBron fans. Stay tuned.
All right, and we are back here on press coverage to talk about, our one of our favorite sports here, basketball. Ain't nothing like basketball.
Thanks.
So we're going to talk about the Lakers here and their great turnaround.
It's
Um,
crazy.
beginning of the season was rough. I remember I was looking at it and I was like, man, this team's going to be absolute garbage.
Yeah.
Uh, obviously,
Oh, me too, bro. I was of the camp that it's so sad. LeBron just score as many points as you can because you're not winning anything.
well, obviously, yeah, it's a different subject now. One
Yeah.
player, Westbrook's on that team, obviously. So I was obviously a big Lakers fan. And then LeBron, AD, the team it's looking good. It's looking real good right now. I think it's a better change. It's a good change. AD with 55 points yesterday and
Yeah.
7 rebounds.
Balling, bro. Balling.
He's a monster. And comes to our subject is LeBron becoming the second best player on his own team?
So, yes and no. In terms of production and LeBron, it's sad to say. I mean, it's not really a belief. It's more of a fact just based on watching. But he can't carry a team like he can back in the day. It's not a bad thing. All right, this is not like a
He,
terrible stain on his legacy.
he's like 37 years old. It's time.
The Lakers will, and if you think about it, over the last couple years, they have gone as AD goes. If AD's playing good, the Lakers are good. If AD's out of the lineup, it seems like the Lakers can't win. And
Yep.
so the thing about LeBron is, well, first of all, the fact that ADs might be the best player on the team, I think it's more about AD than it is about LeBron. I think it says more about Anthony Davis. The thing about the Lakers, and I wanted to ask you this. Sometimes I sit around and I think, the Lakers won the championship in 2020. That's only 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they so bad now when the team is pretty similar? I mean, think about it. They had LeBron James, they had Anthony Davis.
Anthony
The
Davis.
Lakers didn't. The Lakers didn't have any big, huge names. They had a lot of role players that played their role and contributed.
Hurt.
We had Pat Bev who could play defense and bring energy. We got Austin Reeves, who I mean, he's not that good, but he's solid. We got Lonnie Walker, who's giving us buckets. So why have the Lakers been so bad for the last couple of years? It's because Anthony Davis has been hurt and been out of the lineup so much. Anthony Davis has been gone, and LeBron can only do so much at this point. And the thing about LeBron, which is kind of funny and sad, but like, it's just the way. It's the way he kind of the way he flows with the game. It seems like every time he touches the rock, he wants to slow it down. When he gets the ball in the half court, on too many possessions than it should be. Too many instances, it's just LeBron sitting there and he kind of makes a move and then he shoots a three. I think LeBron just he has to use his mind over his athleticism. He's still athletic. He can still dunk like crazy. He can still take you off the triple.
But he's
But
not.
the things that we saw him doing, even as recently as when he in his last stint with the Cavs, we just can't see him do that anymore. And bro, like think about it. Like LeBron only has 2 moves, bro. Like LeBron only has 2 moves left. I was telling you about it yesterday. He only has 2 moves, bro. He has to sit there and pump fake a bunch and then shoot the three, or he has to take you off the dribble and make a contested layup, bro. That's it. That's all he got.
Everybody needs to stop disrespecting LeBron.
It's not disrespect, bro. It's not disrespect.
Jordan had 2 moves. LeBron has a bag. LeBron can dribble. He can pass. He can do it all. LeBron has a real bag. Now, yes, everyone highlights, when he bounces the ball, spins it a little bit and looks at it and then shoots it. Yeah, that's the signature LeBron move. And everybody highlights, him doing a little hop step and then running past you and then getting a layup. Yes, that is another signature LeBron move, but he has a bag for surely. And I would never say LeBron doesn't have a bag.
I'm not saying LeBron doesn't have a bag or that he's never had a bag.
The bag.
I'm saying he only has 2 moves left. I'm saying he only has 2 moves left, bro. That's all he can pull out the arsenal at this point.
I have to disagree with you on that one.
He can only 2 moves, bro. He's either gonna sit there and shit around for 2 seconds, for like 20 seconds, and a pull up, or he's gonna take you off the dribble, or he's gonna make a layup. That's it. No floaters, no mid range pull up, bro. No step back. I mean, he got the step backs.
Here's the thing.
But he's not crossing. He's not breaking your ankles. Like,
here's the thing with LeBron. I think he's okay with being the second best on the team.
Yeah, I think LeBron has been open to that since AD got there.
He has no problem with being the second best on the team. He's obviously the second best on the team right now.
He has to be.
55 points by 80. That is.
That's what AD.
We all know he can still score. We're not can't score anymore. We're not saying this. We're not saying that. But he's obviously not the LeBron of the Cavs where he has to carry the whole team.
AD is the best player, but LeBron will always be the most valuable player.
Yep.
Even though the Lakers go as Anthony Davis goes, but without LeBron, he's the motor. He's revving it up. He's revving the engine. That's LeBron.
Mm.
You go as AD goes, but in order to get started, you can't do that without LeBron, if that makes sense. And so the thing is like he scores all these points, and it's beautiful that Anthony Davis is doing what he's doing because this is who Anthony Davis was meant to be. When the Lakers traded their whole entire future that they were bad for so many years, gaining up those draft picks and building up those draft picks, when they traded all that away, it was for this version of AD, not AD to sit on the bench and only play 20 games, not AD to average 22 points per game and not be able to shoot from anywhere on the floor. This is who they traded for. This is who AD was meant to be. And it's no coincidence that the Lakers are once again winning with him playing like this.
Yep. And one thing I will say about AD, he's a phenomenal player. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But that guy he is cotton soft.
Yeah. Every time he touches the ground, bro.
He hits you hold your breath. Every time AD goes down, you hope that he gets up, and that's just what it is. He's a great player when he's healthy, but he has to stay healthy. You can't go on what ifs. You can't go on what ifs as a basketball player. You can't go what ifs as a sports player in general. Players that get injured a lot are never a good thing ever.
Yeah,
ever.
Well, and I mean the other thing too is we do have to give some of the other players on the Lakers some love. Like we got to give Russell Westbrook some love. I think Russ going to the bench was less of a him changing, how many minutes he plays and more of just a mindset change for him.
Everyone's talking about Russ going to the bench, it's making a difference. But if you were to look at the games, Russ is doing the exact same thing he was doing when he wasn't on the bench. I mean, yes, playing less minutes, okay, but he's still shooting the ball the same amount. He's still not having the greatest. And I'm a top Russell Westbrook fan. I defend him to the fullest. But I feel like everyone's more disguising it as though he went to the bench and now the Lakers are better. I think you do the same thing as a start.
I think
do a start.
Like I said,
down to the playoffs, you better have Russell Westbrook starting. That's all I'm gonna say. Russell Westbrook doesn't need to come off the bench. I think that bench thing is just an experiment. I don't think it's going to last very much longer. Russell Westbrook deserves a start, and I believe he will start. Obviously, he misses a lot of shots. That's going to be what it's going to be. But Russell Westbrook, at the end of the day, is one of the best players to ever touch basketball. So
I think the problem with Russ, in order for Russ to be good, he can't shoot too many threes.
No.
You can't take shots. And the thing that Russ, I think him coming off the bench, like you said, he might be able to be inserted into the lineup and be good. I think it was more of just a mind or like a mental thing. I think it might have taken some of the pressure off of him to not be a starter anymore. Because the thing that was getting sad about Russ is for Russ to be good on the Lakers, he needs to do 4 things. Bring energy, not turn the ball over,
which he's working on.
make his layups, and not miss too many shots. And what he was doing early on in the season, like he has a game where he shot 0 for 11, is Russ was missing layups. Not wide open layups because, they're in the NBA. Nobody does that. But he was missing layups that he shouldn't miss.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the problem where if you're on the court, if all you're going to do is be someone who, especially in today's NBA, doesn't space the floor, even when you do get to the basket, you can't finish. And it's the bad turnovers. It's not the aggressive turnovers where you try to make a pass and it gets stolen. It's the dribbling it out of bounds or dribbling the ball off the side of your foot. That's the kind of stuff that I think. Now, Russ had a bad turnover in yesterday's game. But if Russ can take care of that, take smart shots, and not take too many shots, you know what I'm saying? Russell Westbrook, I don't know if he's the type of player that should be taking 20 shots anymore or 15. I think if Russ takes 10 shots, maybe 1 3-pointer or 2, depending on if he makes his first shot, doesn't turn the ball over, doesn't make bad mistakes, and brings energy and is who he is, I think that has been a part of the Lakers' success. I think that will be a reason why the Lakers continue to have success. And ultimately, I think at this stage in the game, I feel like the way the Lakers have been playing as of late, they're better off with him than without.
At the end of the day, I was never a big fan of trading Russell Westbrook. Obviously, he's my favorite player. I bought his jersey in Houston. I bought his jersey in Oklahoma. He's my guy for surely. But at the end of the day, I don't feel like he should be coming off the bench. Like I said, he's Russell Westbrook. I think he is getting a mindset where he's like, I don't have to do it all like I did in Oklahoma. I feel like it's really hard for a player like him to take a back seat.
Especially, it's tough to play with LeBron. Like, when you play with LeBron, you have to take a back seat.
Well, now you're playing with LeBron and AD.
And Anthony Davis.
So you have to take a back seat.
Yeah, and so Russ goes from the guy, first number one player on his team, to the second player at Houston, to now he's got all of a sudden he's the third. He's the third guy. It's the big three, and it's the big three, and Russ is three. I don't know if he's never had that.
I mean, even when he was in Oklahoma in his early years, he was always the second guy. So it's kind of
even when it was Cam, KD, and Harden, and at any point in the OKC era, he was always two. But he's never three, bro. He was, I think, 2 and 3 are completely. I mean, even just look at in any big three, look at the drop off. I mean, think about the Heat. Chris Bosh was averaging how many points he was in Toronto?
Warriors, for instance.
And think of the Warriors with Steph, Clay, and KD.
Yeah, Clay
had to take a bit of a backseat.
Big backseat. And I mean, Clay goes for 50. Clay can still go for 50 right now.
Bro, look at Kevin Love when he played in Cleveland. Kevin Love was putting up 30 and 30. And he went to Cleveland, and it was like he didn't even score points anymore. He averaged 2 per game in the finals, bro. Like,
so it's just a thing where Russell Westbrook isn't the player I feel like that can take a backseat because he's good. He's so explosive. He's such a different player. He has a different mindset than everybody else. That's the thing I love about Russell Westbrook. If there was a football player on the basketball field or on the basketball court, it would be Russ.
Well, and the thing about Russ is he's a league MVP. None of those previous threes that we talk about, they're great players, but they weren't even close. Like, Clay was never close to a league MVP.
Nope.
Bosh, Bosh and Kevin Love might have been close back in the day. That's kind of before my time, but they weren't MVPs.
They were not MVPs.
They weren't MVPs, bro. So
we're back after some technical difficulties.
So we had some difficulties. So anyway, man, just to wrap up what we were saying, the Lakers look good. They've been doing good as of late. LeBron is not. He's not the number one option anymore, but that's okay. AD is, and he deserves to be. And Russell Westbrook has been contributing to the success. So
I don't think LeBron should be the number one option. He's old. He's old. Let's not say that.
He's past his prime. There's nothing wrong with slowing down in your 20th year. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, yeah, you've seen his father time commercials though. He's LeBron. He's always gonna be LeBron, but I think he's different. I think he's okay with not being number one option.
Yes, sir. All right, well that concludes our sports talk for this episode, man. It's been a very special first episode. I look forward to weekly episodes, man, out every single Tuesday. We're not sure what time it'll be out yet, but we'll get it out to you guys on Tuesday, man. Before we go, I know the game already started Monday night, and the game will probably be over by the time this gets out. But who do you think is going to win? Who do you think is winning tonight? Saints, Bucks.
Tampa Bay, 100%.
I'm going with the Saints, bro. Tampa Bay K, Tom Brady K. I'm going with the Saints.
Yeah, you can't ever go against the good. I mean, he's having a bad season, yes, but he's still going to make the playoffs because he's Tom Brady.
Tom Brady K. All right, well, that concludes our episode, man. Thank you guys for watching. As always, we'll see y'all next week.